Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Kansas City Cast. I'm Jarred Donalson with my co-hosts Micah and Mason, and today we have a special guest, Ritchey Cable. Richie is a pastor and a filmmaker. So today we're going to dive into Richie's work a little bit and why Kansas City is the place where he's doing it. So Richie, why don't you give us a little rundown of who you are and what you do?
Yeah. As Jarred said, I'm Ritchey Cable, and I have been in ministry for, long time now. So 25 years. And also at the same time, I've had a sense of desire in my life and burden in my life to try to engage the culture through film as well, and to try to care for the culture in that way too. So I grew up, we can get into this, I guess, but
Yeah.
I grew up around film and had experience there, and then began to see that as a desire to try to, something I really loved to do, something that I enjoyed watching people engage with my work and that kind of thing. So that's the big picture of the journey, but there's a lot more details. So.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll for sure dive into that some more. So I know you're not from Kansas City originally. How did you get here?
I should probably also mention that I have a family that I love. My wife, Melissa, we have 3 kids, Parker, Cooper, and Sophie. Sophie is a senior this year, so she's graduating. I mean, part of the journey to Kansas City involves all of them as well. But we were, after seminary, I served at a church in Louisiana for 7 years. And after that, began to have a burden for churches that were hurting, and began to look around and look at openings and positions, and found one in Kansas City that at the time was going through some turmoil and some difficult situations. And so felt called to come here, and came here back in 2012. And so that's when we called Kansas City home. My wife actually was born in Kansas City, lived most of her life, though, in St. Louis.
Okay.
And then we met at Baylor. So
Very cool.
yeah.
And so are you from Texas originally?
Yeah. I grew up north of Houston in a town called Conroe. So
Very nice. Cool. And you did seminary in St. Louis, correct?
Yeah, I was at Covenant Theological Seminary in St. Louis. I was there from 2000 to 2004.
Cool. And obviously you're no longer at that church. What keeps you here in Kansas City then?
So we love Kansas City. Right after I finished up at the church that I was initially called here, I started work for our denomination. It's called the EPC, Evangelical Presbyterian Church. And so they're in Florida, and they had initially asked, hey, would you consider moving to Orlando? And I was like, we love Kansas City. Like, we've got, our kids are in school.
I'm sure the weather was a little appealing.
It is. I just flew back from there yesterday. And right now it's about 50 degrees warmer there. So it was really nice. I was going on walks and things yesterday. I mean, it was just a sense of home. Like, we've lived in a lot of really great places. Houston, St. Louis. We were in a smaller city in Louisiana called Alexandria. Kansas City's been our favorite place to live. So.
Wow. What do you think makes it your favorite out of all those places you've seen?
I don't know. When we moved here in 2012, since 2012, it feels like it's been a city that's, I don't know, just all of a sudden has an identity that, I mean, it probably had an identity before that, but it just seems like it's grown, that there's been a lot of positive things that have been going on. We moved here right before the Royals went to the World Series. I think they went 2 in 14 and then in 15, and then 1 in 15. So that was it. And then, of course, the Chiefs, and now with Taylor Swift being here, I mean, it's
That's right.
Yeah, but no, it's great. I mean, we've like, our kids have found community and friendship here. We've loved the people here. Everyone's been delightful.
Very nice. And so obviously you kind of, as you were ending your pastoral ministry over at the church you came here for, you wrote what I think is your first movie, or at least your first movie that has been produced in a wide way.
Yeah.
So tell us how you went from being a pastor to a filmmaker.
Yeah.
And what that process kind of looked like.
All right. You want me to go all the way back?
Sure.
All right.
Let's do it.
So back in the early 90s, 91, I was growing up. My dad had worked with a guy who was in boxing. He was an Olympic boxer. He fought at the same time as Sugar Ray Leonard. So they were good buddies. And my dad promoted some of his fights. My dad's got the weirdest kind of, he was a school teacher. He was a minister for a while. He was a boxing promoter. When this boxer got injured, before he was going to a title championship match, my dad was like, well, I know you've always had an interest in entertainment. Let's try to make a movie. We've never made a movie. Let's try to make movies. And that was back when I feel like a lot of movies are being made now, but in the early 90s, the independent film scene was much more sparse. Like there wasn't as much going on. So they started in 91. And so I grew up going to set and watching them figure it out. And they figured it out kind of within the first couple of years. And so they've since then, they've made about 24, 25 feature films. And so they've, so part of it was that I grew up around set. So I was always intrigued by that. It was always interesting to see these fake things, but tell kind of a story that felt real. And then also during that time, my dad said the boxer, he was the one who wrote them on. He wrote them on legal size pad of paper. And he said, and I was taking a typing class, and he said, hey, would you type these up for me? So I typed up, he had written a ton of them. I typed up maybe 30 of them.
Oh, wow.
And as I was typing, it was really interesting because I just fell in love with that form of storytelling. It was just even the writing, the screenplay component. And I think what's interesting is that even whenever I was a pastor in my preaching, people would say, you always preach kind of cinematically. And I can see that. Like certainly my seminary training influenced some of the doctrine, the theology, and those things. But then kind of the arc of a sermon and the way that I would maybe utilize illustrations and that kind of thing, I really think was informed by the fact of these hours of sitting there typing screenplays. And then I started writing them when I was 13 or 14. I got an agent for one of my scripts back then in the Mecca of film world in St. Louis. I still remember the name of it. I haven't been able to find it since then, so it clearly was not a big one, but it was called the Shondelin Literary Agency, which sounded great.
Yes.
But nothing happened. But I've been writing them for since I was 15, and then I had this one story called The Author that I started writing. My dad, when he was getting older and kind of looking at his own legacy, they were certainly proud of the films they'd made, but my dad, who had kind of a ministry background, wanted his legacy to be a little different than a thriller or a horror film or, an action adventure.
Yeah.
And so I pitched the idea to him. I said, well, we should go in on this. I'm about to have a sabbatical that's coming up. We should let's see if we can pull this thing together. So I pitched The Author to him and his business partner. And they both were like, yeah. And I'd done a lot of the 20 years before that. I'd always kept up with cameras and video, the digital media, digital film, that kind of thing. I shot some stuff. And so I'd kept up in that realm too. So anyway, at the end of the day, in 2021, we filmed The Author. It was during the pandemic, and it was a challenge to try
Great
to
timing.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It actually worked well because the city at the time, it was toward the pandemic hit in 2020, 2021 was more where they were trying to, do some economic stimulus stuff.
Yeah, sure.
And so they fronted the bill for like 1/3 of the movie, which we wouldn't have been able to make.
Wow.
So it was really cool.
And you shot a lot of that in Texas, is that
Yeah,
right?
that first one we shot in Conroe, where I grew up. It's North Houston. And we had, it's probably too long of a story, but we had a girl from American Idol who I needed a singer because one of the people was a singer. And I had seen her on American Idol and then ended up, I'd actually looked at her for the role, and it's a longer story, but I ended up being on the same plane as her out of just randomly.
Wow.
She was standing in front of me and leaning against her guitar, and I just, I didn't know who she was. at the time, but then we started talking, and I was like, I was looking at you for this role. And so she read for the part and got the part. And so, and then, so yeah, we shot that in Texas, shot it over about 5 weeks. And so it's pretty quick for a feature film.
Yeah, very quick.
And we, the two leads actually fell in love, got married.
Oh, wow.
I got to go to their wedding in Louisiana. They're both from the Baton Rouge area. And so I got to see them, and they just had a little boy. So I kind of am thinking, or little girl, sorry, Charlie. But yeah, I kind of take credit for that life.
Yeah.
But hey, if we
As
wouldn't
you
have made
should.
if we
As you
wouldn't have made
should.
the film,
That
so,
movie's leaving more than one legacy for sure.
so yeah, so that's a long answer to I don't remember the initial question, but maybe it fills in some of the gaps.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, the first one was filmed in Texas. I think that's what you asked.
Yeah.
Well, I think part of it was filmed in Liberty too, right?
We had to do some reshoots. We had filmed an entire scene at a location that then withdrew they didn't sign a document. So, and when it came time, the location had looked like in the video, it looked like it was closed. Like it was supposed to be like this old building that was closed. And the owner didn't know that, which you don't normally like share the whole script,
Yeah.
but she's like, I didn't know it was going to be closed. I don't want people to think we're closed.
Oh, wow.
I was like, well, it's a movie. But we had to reshoot, and so we actually got to film. I don't even know the name of it, but it's it's in Liberty. It's the I know they have a winery there now, but it's got the old buildings as well.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And it used to be a hospital.
Yeah.
Is it Belvoir? Is
Yeah, I
that the-
believe
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
I believe so. So they allowed us to film there, and so that was great.
Well, that's
So,
awesome. Yeah, I mean, I watched the movie, and one of the scenes is like, oh, I know exactly where that is.
Yeah.
It's fun on
Yeah,
the
and
square up there in Liberty.
Yeah, and then we were also on the square.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it was called Huey's. Or,
Yeah, Huey's,
yeah.
great diner if you haven't been to Huey's.
Yeah,
It's great.
So that was great. So that we flew just the two of them, the two actors here, because they were the only ones we needed. And so that was where, I guess that's an interesting part of the story too, is because that was where I got to experience directing, because the director didn't come back up. So, so I got to direct and he had let me do some of it whenever we were in Texas, but that was my first chance to have full kind of creative control in that environment.
That's
so
very cool.
it was great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that idea for the author, was that one, you said you started writing at 14, 15 years old. Was that one you had for a while, several years, that you had kind of been working on, or was it a fairly new
It was
thing
one
from-
that I'd had for a long time, and it was based on a true. I'll say this wasn't based on a true story; it was inspired by a true story. One of our good friends back in 2001 was in a car accident, and when he woke up, he was a 30-year-old guy, got in a car wreck, had a wife and a little girl, and when he woke up, he thought he was in high school.
Oh, wow.
And didn't remember his wife, didn't remember the kid, and so over time he began to kind of remember those things. His wife tragically passed away, but his daughter didn't have a scratch on her in the car wreck. And so as we were following that story, we would receive updates and prayer requests and things like that. And I was like, wow, just watching him try to relearn his life. I thought there was, and there's a lot of parts in there too of things that showed up, like as soon as he got in the accident, immediately right behind him was a guy who was a military paramedic who had a specialty in like head trauma.
Oh, wow.
And like he was right there on the scene.
Yeah.
And so I started to think about the idea. I mean, the author it's a film that asks the question, because like I said, I like to engage with the culture, but it's the idea of, is there an author? Like it proposed that question. It certainly leans into an answer. But, a lot of my films a lot of the stories I've written, I only have 2 films, but the films that I've made are meant to leave you asking really important questions. And it's kind of like a parable where Jesus would use them, he'd tell them, there'd be a story, but then the story starts working after you hear it and you walk away. It's like, who am I? Am I the guy that built his house on the sand or on a rock? Like these strange stories and these kind of different stories. So with that one was one that I'd been working on for 15 yours is very different than the second one, which like I wrote in like a week and a half. Like
Oh, wow.
it was totally drastically different. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And the second one is not out yet. Is
It's
that correct?
correct. It is. We just got picked up by. We're going to be in two places. We're going to be both on Angel Studios as well as on Amazon. So,
Oh, cool.
we're releasing on January 8th. So you guys are breaking the news.
Breaking the news right
yeah.
here.
There it is. There it is. Actually, I don't know when this will air, but
Probably before that. So
so yeah,
you heard it
so yeah, yeah.
That
So
one's called Parable?
that one just Parable.
Just Parable.
Yeah.
Cool.
But no, it's a lot of people call it the Parable, but it's called Parable, and it's similar, not similar, but I kind of wrestle with that because I want the film to be able to engage all different kinds of audiences, but I thought, well, Christopher Nolan's he's taken these weird words that people don't use much, like prestige and
Mhm.
yeah.
Inception, and I was like, Parable's got kind of an interesting. It's an interesting term, and so yeah, so it's called Parable. 6 people wake up in a loft. They're all strangers. They don't know how they got there. There's a 7th one, a woman who's lifeless on the bed, and they have to figure out how they got there, how they're going to get out. Like, so that makes it sound more of like a scary thriller, but it's more of a mystery. It's a mystery drama. It's got a little bit of Breakfast Club in it, where I don't know if y'all remember that
Oh, yeah.
film or
Mhm.
not, but you get to know kind of some deeper character development. So we've been in a number of film festivals, have won some of them, and we were excited to we took it to Angel, and they do kind of a test market, and it scored really well. And so they decided to pick us up, which I think right now they only have 70-ish films, but they have like 1.5 million subscribers, so they're pretty picky, and so we were really pleased that they picked us up. So it'll be streaming there if you're a subscriber to Angel. If you're not, you can rent it on Amazon as well. So
Very cool.
That's incredible. And where did you shoot that one here in Kansas City? Or was
we
that...
did, yeah, Crossroads District.
All
So
right.
yeah, we so I knew that this one was going to be. I mean, I don't mind. It was like a $10,000 film. Like that's all we had. We didn't have any money. But I'm super proud that we were able to create something that actually a studio would want to like pick up.
That is incredible.
And so I started going, well, because a friend of mine asked me, he said, hey, could you film a movie for 10,000? Because he was interested in investing. I said, well, not a very good one. It's going to be really bad. And then I read an article, John Hughes, when he made The Breakfast Club, he pitched it to the studio. He said, hey, look, we'll be in one location. So he got a school I think it was during the summer, or it was a school that no longer was open. I don't remember, but he had the one location. He got newer actors, and he said, I think we can do this. So his story is they went way over budget. But for us, we were like, I heard that and I was like, yeah, if I could write a film that takes place in one location, and if I could tell anyone who's working on this, that, hey, take the journey with us. We will, if you'll take the risk with us, then we'll also, if the film does well, we'll make you a part of the reward. Thankfully, we had, we got our first choice of actors. We had 3,000 people that we auditioned.
Wow.
And we got our top choice. They did an incredible job. Several of them on the film festival circuit were nominated. Some of them won for Best Actor, Best Actress. It was an ensemble cast of 6 characters that were part of the loft, and then a 7th character who's probably has just as much screen time, but who kind of is in a different role. I won't give away too much, but in a different role. And so, yeah, they all took the risk. We had a lot of locals here in Kansas City that one guy who had done Taylor Swift's lighting concerts. I knew him, and he had done other concerts too. But I said, "Hey, let's learn a little bit about film lighting, and let's come help us." And he took the risk with us. People took time off work I had a guy from film school who's now in the banking world, but he was like, "Yeah, I'd love to be a part of this." So anyway, we pulled it off somehow, thanks to a lot of people who were willing to give their time and take the risk with us. So
That's incredible.
So I say all that to say it probably, like we had a guy who wrote the score. He used to be with the Kansas City Orchestra. He's now with St. Louis Symphony, but he wrote the score. That would have cost like $100,000. And like all those things, it's probably now more of a $500,000 film, which is still low budget, but it's like the quality level just goes way up when you have 500,000 versus 10. And that's realistically more of what we were able to work with was because of people's generosity.
Yeah, that's amazing. Talk a little bit about like the creative process. I mean, you spent 15 years on your first movie,
Mm-hmm.
and then you wrote your second one in a week and a half. What does that process look like, and how do you think like your environment kind of influenced that to happen?
To write, just the process of writing.
Yeah,
Yeah. I would say that. So essentially it's actually not different than there are some. Whenever I was in pastoral ministry full time, like there's some sermons that like you have to force
for sure.
into kind of being, and then there are some where they kind of write themselves, and you're like, wow, this just was very natural. And I think that honestly, writing every single week a sermon, because I would always write it all out. I wouldn't read a manuscript, but I would preach from a manuscript. So I would write. I wanted to do my thinking ahead of time,
Yeah,
and so I think writing 4,000, 5,000 words every week was just an exercise that probably helped where my mind was geared at being able to write, and even it's certainly a different realm, but it's still a creative exercise to try to synthesize a message that you're putting and make it accessible for people who are listening.
for sure.
And so I think that helped. I also think that I don't know, there was that challenge also of, hey, so the person who said, could you do it for 10,000 said, I think as soon as you move on from your pastoral position, you should make something almost immediately. And sometimes you need that kind of goal or vision that's set before you to go, yeah, I'll try this. Let me try it. And so I did that. I have a creative partner who lives in Florida, and my wife and her and her husband, myself, we've been friends since Baylor, and she's a novelist. And so I was able to send her some of my ideas and get feedback. And then she took an interest in kind of the production side. And so she's part of the third one that we're kind of gearing up for and getting ready for now. And so that helped also have people who were kind of walking alongside you going, yeah, let's do this. Let's pull it off. I think when you have, I don't know, about 3 to 4 people who say, we're going to make this in the film world, I think you can get something done. I really do. I think there's something to that instead of just being by yourself, trying to do something. And then the one as far as the longer one, I don't know. That was a different kind of story. It's really complex. And I wrestled with it. I rewrote it a number of times. I don't know. They're just 2 very different stories. So it's hard to figure out why one of them took 15 years. But also part of it's just season of life. And when you have the ability to take something and film it right, right away. So
That's incredible. I'm intrigued by kind of the entrepreneurial spirit that it takes to exist in a world like that. What do you think are maybe some of the biggest challenges you faced when you look at tackling something like that, where you're taking something that you've written and trying to gain traction and get in front of the right people to get to where you are today?
Yeah, I mean, it really is tough. Like if someone is, I don't know how else to phrase this, so I don't mean this in a bad way, but if someone's just a screenwriter, then it's really hard to get your work seen, published, recognized. So for me, I'm very, I'm fortunate that I had experience behind the camera, experience with audio, experience with lighting, experience with all these things growing up, even over the years since then, after being on set as a kid. So I think for me, what helped was that I could when we finished, I could be the editor.
Yeah.
That I could be the colorist, because you have a very bland look. You got to go in and work with all the coloring, the contrast, like everything is, just looks horrible when you first film it. And so you do that, and then, being able to know stuff about sound, adding sound effects, and like there's little things where you have to add footsteps. Like you have to select what shoes they're wearing. It's a little program, and you use a little keyboard and you go back and forth with the. So like all these things, I don't know. So for me, it was like bringing all these tools that I'd learned over the years together. I would say that if someone, and I didn't mean it in a bad way, just a screener, but if someone's written a script, they don't know how to actually like get behind a camera or that, I think then it's really trying to partner with people who know how to do those things. Okay, and there's a community here. I engage with quite a bit of people in Kansas City that know how to do those things, and that's been fun to. Like we were in the Kansas City International Film Festival, and so I got to meet a lot of the filmmakers in the area, and that was really fun to do that. So I think part of it is it's one of the biggest collaborative efforts, and so you have to know what you can bring, and there's a lot of stuff I can't bring. I'm not a music guy. I don't know how to write a score. I don't know the best parts of the movie to add a score. Like I can guess, and I know from what I've seen, but I don't have that intuition. So like having this guy who was with the Kansas City Symphony and Kansas City or orchestra, the Kansas City Orchestra would always do these. I don't know if y'all have ever been to them, but like at the Kaufman Center where they would have like you put a movie up and you're watching it like and so he had done that so many times in his role that he had a real like he had learned when John Williams would like score a piece when he would this needs to be silent, that kind of thing. So that partnering with people who have those abilities to know what you can bring, know what you can't, and then finding people who can complement that. So
You mentioned the Kansas City film scene specifically. What do you think's unique about the film scene here in Kansas City that maybe you wouldn't find in other parts of the country?
I would say that there seems to be, I think the community piece seems to be tighter knit here than what I've seen. And because I was in a film festival in Texas, and Texas has a big film scene, but it feels more spread out. It feels more, not every person for themselves, but a little more competitive maybe. Where here there was a sense of, hey, we work together. There were so many people at the film festival where they were like, yeah, I worked with them on a film, I worked with them, I worked with them. And so like they were going all around saying people they had worked with and in different roles and that kind of thing. So I think that would be one thing that I would highlight. So
that's very good. And that seems to, we talk mostly about Kansas City on this podcast. And I think that's something that we have seen as a continual theme, that just Kansas City is such a community in a way that most people don't grasp. I have family that works in the film industry on the East Coast, and it's very cutthroat, even for just the basic normal kind of union level jobs.
Yeah.
So no surprise that I think Kansas City has a little bit more community feel in that sense around here. Kevin, maybe as we kind of like start to wind down a little bit, talk to us a little bit about what it looks like, like going forward. You're about to produce another movie, and how being here has kind of shaped that. Obviously, as you've kind of shifted roles in your full-time professional life and all of that.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot. Well, I think with each project, there's a lot you learn, and there's a lot you go, wow, I don't know. There's a lot I don't know. Like you learn. And so I feel like this past experience working with Parable, I feel like it was almost like a PhD course for me. I have a feeling there are things that are needed in the next one that we didn't need for this one, like finances and money. I have a feeling I'll look back and be like, oh, that was like a high school level course. I think with each one, you kind of learn, and you oftentimes repeat, or you avoid repeating mistakes, but then you also learn of stuff that you were totally ignorant to. So I think that's, as I look forward to the third project, that we're having to talk to investors, which we've never had to do before, learning what that looks like to paint a compelling vision so people want to resource that.
Yeah.
Vision is just it's different, something I haven't had to do. And so we're kind of getting geared up for that. So we're creating pitch decks and, just all sorts of images and things that we can present to people. But I think from my own professional life, or my own like life of the other work that I do, and trying to figure out that balance of, because when you get it started on a project, it takes a lot of time, and then there's a certain time, and anytime I've ever started working for someone, I'm always like, there's possibility that in a year or 2 years that I might need a chunk of time where I'm on set producing something for a month to 2 months kind of thing. And so uh, that's a weird pitch to someone, but you just never know. And so I think people have been super generous and gracious. And I also try to, going into a project, build up my time at doing work so that it's not just like I took off completely, but work double time. But I don't know. I don't know if that answers all of your question, but maybe some of what did I miss something?
No, I think that's great. I mean, I think the process of filmmaking is so foreign to most people that people
100%.
enjoy movies. It's a staple in our American life, but the process behind it, I think, is really fascinating that most people don't actually see. We just watched a documentary on John Williams, and his ability to sit down and write a score just as he watches a movie without sound.
Yeah,
basically.
it's a great documentary. I think if you watched the one I watched, it was fantastic. But yeah, and I think what it makes me, I'm a lot more generous to, now if a big studio makes a film and I'm like, you guys didn't spend any time on this, then I'm less generous. But I don't critique films as much as I used to, from a standpoint of I know what it takes to try to cross the finish line. And so you just have a respect of, wow, you all pulled that off.
You made it. Yeah.
And you can guess that there's probably some things that are like, I wish that would have turned out better. Or I wish that would have worked. But you're also like, well, that's to be commended. Like you set out to create a project and you did it. And, it's maybe easier to do that if you've got 100 million behind you. But
that's fair.
I think when these smaller films do something, like there was a film I watched that I just loved. It was called Coda. Apple ended up buying it and putting their name on it, but it wasn't an Apple movie initially. It was an independent film, and Coda was. They actually, I think they won an Academy Award for Best Picture. It was for one of the key awards. I don't remember exactly, but they won, and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool that they were able to pull that off. So if you haven't, I mean, it's actually a great family movie. It's engages with. Yeah, I don't want to give it away, but it's a great movie. Coda's got a play on children of deaf adults, but also in the music world. So it's got Coda's a phrase in the music world too. So
very cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's something. I think what most people who don't create regularly don't understand is there's something vulnerable about it, right? Like you're putting something that you've nourished and cared for out there for the world to see and to critique as they please, right? So
yeah, and people like to critique.
They do.
And,
100%.
and I think that's, but it's super vulnerable, and there's a fear. So I will say this, that'd be one thing I would say is that if you're a creative who has a fear that, that my encouragement would be, don't let the fear be the one thing that holds you back. There's going to be so many other things that might hold you back in a creative project, especially like if it's bigger in scope. But yeah, that vulnerable piece, just there's a lot of people who will support you and care for you in that, who are also along for the ride. And so, but yeah, sometimes you put, piece of artwork out or whatever, and it gets critiqued and you're like, I don't want to do that again. That's a horrible feeling.
Yep.
But yeah.
Awesome. Well, maybe let's touch a little bit more on your Kansas City experience here.
Let's do it.
Yeah. What's something like what's a Kansas City memory that really sticks out to you?
So for me, I was talking to my wife about this last night because I told her I was going to be on here and we were kind of talking through stuff, but
we should have brought her on with you.
Yes. I think that so my most fun memories have been around the sports stuff as much as I want to do something unique, but like it was really fun with the Royals in 2014-15, with the Chiefs, like being able to go to the games. Like as a kid growing up, even though I grew up north of Houston, like I went to a handful of Rockets games, 1 or 2 Oilers games, and being able to do that, there's just a sense of community around that too that's been
For
a lot
sure.
of fun. But yeah, I think that's, and one of our favorite memories was we were actually at the game when, so I've got a teenage daughter, and we were at the game that Taylor Swift was first there, like the first time.
The very first one that she.
So we were handing out tickets for one of the schools in the area. You can, we were helping out, so we were checking tickets and all that. And Taylor Swift no, she doesn't. But, but we were tearing tickets or scanning tickets and all that. And then afterwards, you have to go find a seat and hope that there's an empty one.
Yeah.
Like they let you sit anywhere as long as it's empty. Which for me, I'm like, so I'm going to sit in some. So my wife and daughter go and sit there. They find one on the first level. We go around, my 2 sons and I are like up at the very top. Well, we find out that my wife and daughter sit down and they're looking around. They had heard the rumors that she was there. And the guy next to him goes, "Who are you looking for?" And they go, they tell him Taylor Swift. And he said, "Well, she's right there." They turn around and like, she's literally like 3 rows back in that. And so
That's hilarious.
I think it was the Giants or something, but everyone started leaving because we were winning. And so we went down and sat with them, and she like waved to us, like, and was super generous and all that. So that was fun. She's that was a memory. I mean, I'm not a huge Taylor Swift person. Seeing my daughter like light up when she got to see her and see her wave at my kids was kind of a cool thing. So.
That's fun.
That's awesome. What do you think is maybe the biggest misconception people have around of Kansas City, maybe from some of the places you've lived or in the film industry as you talk to people?
Yeah, that the whole thing's in Kansas. Did y'all get that a lot?
Yes. Oh yeah.
No, I think that there's, I don't know, that the city actually has just a vibe and a personality that's super cool. So like, I think that people are like, they immediately kind of think it's just going to be kind of a boring Midwest, but like the food scene's incredible here. Like there's so much to do. The people are fun. Like I think it's a gem. I really do. I think it's like just a really great place that we kind of stumbled upon, but we love it.
That's incredible.
Who or what do you think has influenced your view of the community here the most?
Who or what? Well, all right. So y'all have already had him on, but I think Aaron Kleinmeyer, he's got a huge investment. I mean, he grew up in the area. He's got the Brim. This is a wedding venue. He really is doing stuff with, I'm sure he talked about his romantic spots and all that. And so like just watching him, and I see this not just with him, but with other people, but so many people trying to make the city better.
Yeah.
And being really effective in how they do it. And I think, so Aaron would be one who would stand out and be like, yeah, I mean, he's a younger guy than I am, but I met him very early on when we moved here. And I think I've learned a lot about Kansas City through him, and he's impacted how I view the city.
Definitely. Aaron's a great guy and love what they're doing out there at the Brim.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is so cool to see people like that are from the community invest back in and make it a really cool place to live.
Yeah. I think Aaron said something when we interviewed him about, Kansas City. What's cool about it is that like we don't have help. Like it's not like, other cities you get tons of outside investment coming in to kind of grow a city because they see the potential there. But like you don't really have that in Kansas City. People aren't looking at Kansas City like, oh yeah, like that's the spot to be. Maybe a little bit more now than there used to be. But I think we're definitely seeing a lot of people who have roots here who are investing in big ways.
Yeah, and I don't want to start an interstate rival, but it was interesting. We had each year I get together with a group of buddies, and when I hosted it one year, and most of them were from St. Louis, and they were really impressed with the city. Like I remember them going like, wow, Kansas City's actually pulling off a lot of stuff that in St. Louis we've been trying to do and haven't been able to do. So that spoke to me a lot whenever, when they did that. The most disappointing time here in Kansas City was when we went to Garth Brooks' concert, and he goes, "How's everybody in Kansas?"
Yeah.
We're like, "Well, no, you're actually in Missouri, buddy."
Yep. So we went to a concert this summer, and the guy was like, "What's up, St. Louis?" And we were like, "Oh."
Somehow worse,
Yeah.
actually. I don't know.
They'd been in St. Louis the night before, and I was like, "Come on, man." But fun. Well, maybe let's hop into our kind of rapid fire questions
Yeah.
to cap us off here. So, what's your go-to barbecue spot? And what? I mean, you're a Texas guy, so this is probably a dangerous question, but we're in Kansas City. So, what's your go-to barbecue spot, and what are you ordering when you get there?
Yeah, so actually, Texas and Kansas City barbecue is very similar. The ribs are different, but other than that, like there's a lot of brisket, so I actually love both Texas and Kansas City barbecue. My go-to spot's Q39, unless I'm getting just the beans, and if I'm going for beans, it's Smokehouse.
Oh, yeah.
They put
Hard to beat
chunks
that.
of
Yep.
the brisket in there. It's fantastic. So, but no, I actually don't compete in my brain between Texas and Kansas City. They're both really, really good.
Fair enough. What's your go-to at Q39?
Is it the Burns, Mr. Burns or something?
Yep.
There's I don't remember all the names, but
Yeah.
that's the one.
Fair enough.
That's awesome.
What's your favorite Kansas City tradition?
Favorite Kansas City tradition? This isn't rapid fire, but I would just say for me, we as a family, we do a Christmas lights deal each year where we go and we drive. We call it the Polar Express, and we'll find a place. Kansas City has had a lot of different. I mean, of course, we did the Plaza, and that's kind of the go-to for a lot of people. But we found a ton of other fun things. That's maybe a tradition we have as a family to go, and do that. As far as Kansas City, I don't know. I'd get in trouble if I said, "Well, we enjoy going to parades when teams win," because that
That
might
does
be
seem to be the
Although maybe not this year.
not this year. But no, but yeah. So, but the way the city celebrates
Yeah.
with lights and stuff has been really cool. So,
What's maybe a hidden gem in Kansas City that a lot of people don't know about?
I thought about this for a while. For me, it is the individual communities. You got like the Crossroads District, for example. All of a sudden has this little hub of all sorts of really good restaurants, and you got things like that throughout the city where it's just a unique feel. So it almost is like you got all these different cities in one.
Yeah, for sure.
So I love that. I don't know how hidden that is. I didn't know about it before we moved here, but
Yeah.
my wife and I are always trying to find new restaurants and things. And so that was something that I was like, wow, it's like you're going to a different world. It's like Epcot Center, right?
That's right.
You got your
Taste the
different
world.
areas and all
Uh-huh.
that. So anyway,
Very nice.
If you had to pick a different part of the city to live in, where would you land there?
I mean, I think that's something I keep bringing up Crossroads, but like some place where I could walk to a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
like
sure.
we enjoy this. Like we enjoy where we live now. It's there's a little more space that you can live in and that kind of thing. But I think having a place that I could walk around. When we filmed in Crossroads, I loved, like, we would take a break and there'd be a couple different coffee shops we could go to, a couple different restaurants. So I loved that area.
It's so cool to see how the city's become a lot more accessible, especially with the streetcar.
Oh yeah.
I mean, as they expand that out, it's incredibly walkable now, and so you can get just about, especially from the Crossroads, just about anywhere you'd want to go.
Yeah.
Coffee shop, restaurant, anything like that. So there are times where I do think it would be appealing to live somewhere.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. And so last question. Say you have a free Saturday here in Kansas City. How are you going to spend it?
Ooh, I think it would be similar to what I just said, but where we enjoy finding places we've never been.
Yeah.
And what I love about Kansas City is there are so many places I like that. One day we'll be able to afford 1587, but like there's so many restaurants that are just places to go, and they're even just unique stuff. Like I remember we found a place where you could go and you could sit down and play a board game, and like they had a whole shelf of board games.
Yeah.
There's like a couple of those places. There's a place for all these old arcade games and stuff. I think for us, finding fun things like that on a Saturday is something unique that we love.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today,
Yeah, it's
Richie. It's
fun.
been a lot of fun. I can't wait for Parable. I haven't had a chance to see that one yet. So
Yeah.
excited for that one to come out here in a couple weeks from, I guess,
Yeah.
now. But as always, we're the Kansas City Cast. Thanks you guys so much for watching. Would love for you to like, subscribe, follow us along. Thanks, guys.